let's start my next masterpiece. First, I gotta print out the image that I want to draw. And this is my eyeball, by the way. And then I start marking all the measurements that I need so I can create even gridded squares on the picture. This takes a little bit of time to figure out measurements, but it's definitely worth it. Once I'm done gridding the paper, I have to grid my big paper, and it has to be the same amount of squares. And then once I do that, I start drawing. As you can see, I start sketching, and then I erase the gridded marks because we don't really need those. Make sure to also lighten up your sketch, and I just take the kneaded eraser and lightly press on everything. Once everything is pretty light, I'm going to take this little sponge thing. This is my favorite blender, and we're just going to go all over the paper and just create shadows where there needs to be shadows. And this is like the first layer you do when drawing. We're going to continue to build up layers, but this is the first. So right here, I'm starting the most important part of my drawing, which is the center of the eye. This is going to have the most meaning to it. This is the most detailed part of my drawing. So this is where I like to start, just because it has so much detail. It needs to be like the best. So you always want to work on the main focus of your piece, which is right here. And then you'll work on the little details and shading afterwards. We're going to start building up layers, and how you do this is just you continually draw with your pencil and blend and continue to do that until you get the layers that you want and the shading that you want. You want it to keep it nice and smooth also, especially for this part. I'm starting by making all of the darkest parts of the eye first, and then gonna be sketching out the rest of the pupil and like the iris, just so I know where everything is. And your eraser will be a big help with you whenever you're drawing. So you can sketch with your pencil and your eraser too, which is pretty cool. Once I get everything lightly marked out and shaded, then I start going in darker with the darker details and everything, and the darker pencils too. You always want to start out light and continue to darken the pencil, but this is how it looks, just a light sort of sketch. And then we'll build up and make it darker. Now for this layer, this is where we're getting really, really dark. So we're darkening everything up. Since I know where all my dark places are going to be and where all the light places are going to be, this is where you just go in and add pretty much the final layer of like dark pencil. My eraser is very important in this part because when I darken everything up, I also have to continue to add detail. And this is where the detail comes in with my eraser and then with my white pencil, because it just sort of worked for this part. I don't know why I use a white pencil, but it sometimes worked. Oh, I guess I'm using that. Okay, I don't even remember that. But erasers are very important when drawing, so just remember to have a lot. Especially electric erasers are very, very important when drawing. Now I'm working on the highlight over here, and it's very important to keep that as white as you possibly can, because that is your light source right there, and you want to keep it super duper light the whole time. So if any shading gets in there, it's not going to look that realistic. So I had to keep it as white as possible while working with this dark pencil. You're gonna be in my video.
No, No! Why?
Showing your talent.
I don't even know what I'm doing, to be honest.
I know.
Just filling that little white spot. I'm pretty sure the crosses aren't that visible.
Yeah, but I made them visible. This is my drawing. This is a reference.
Okay. Where?
Alright, back to work. Now I'm just touching everything up, making everything look good. I'll touch it up at the end too, but right now I'm just trying to make it as good as it possibly can be with all the little details. And then I'll work on everything else. So the next important section is the white part of the eye, and obviously you can see I'm building up that darkness, and I'm going to be creating veins and everything just to give it a realistic sort of look. And I'm using pencil, and I'm erasing and adding another layer of pencil and erasing and adding some eraser marks. I'm doing a lot of different stuff here just to give it depth and detail. This is a hard part because I have to make the eye looking round and smooth, so that sponge blender thing really helped to keep the pencil very smooth on the paper and not so rough. This is where I go in with some highlights. I'm just taking my eraser and using that, and then sometimes I take a gel pen just to make it look a little brighter. Let me just say, this tear was very hard to do. I had to keep it looking shiny and smooth. And right now, it doesn't look very good, but eventually I figure out how to do it. And it just takes a lot of experimentation. Same with the skin. It was very hard to do, and I just had to experiment with the skin texture and everything. And sometimes you have to do that. Just experiment with your pencils and textures, and eventually you'll get it after a lot of practice. Again, your eraser is super helpful for this to give it the highlights and detail it needs to like shine and pop out of the paper. So my plan was I was gonna finish all the skin texture and then do the eyelashes, but I just couldn't wait because I really wanted to do it because those eyelashes just bring everything together. So I couldn't wait, so I did some right there. Right here I was trying to figure out the skin texture again. For some reason I just couldn't get it right, and people said it looked like elephant skin or flames, but eventually I fix it and it looks a little better. Right now it just doesn't look very well, but I start connecting the lines more. I don't know how to explain it, but right here I do, and it looks a lot better. So it just shows sometimes you make a huge mistake and you might have to go back and fix it all, but it's definitely worth it in the end for the final result. Right here the tear was looking a little bit flat, so I needed to darken up my lines and make brighter highlights, and it looked a lot better in the end, like it was actually popping out. And I also did a reflection of the crosses on the tear, which gave it a little more detail and dimension. Again, the skin texture was kind of hard for this, so like throughout the whole thing I'm doing like 20 different skin textures, and if you look on the actual picture, like the top right corner versus the top left, or the bottom right or the bottom left, they're like all different skin textures, but for some reason it all kind of came together and looked kind of cool. And now my favorite part, which is the eyelashes, which just brings it all together, making it look amazing. And that's pretty much it. And then when you're done with your drawing or piece, just make sure to touch everything up, make sure you didn't miss anything, and put your signature on it, and boom, there you go. So I hope you guys liked this video, and I hope it helped you in any way with answering questions or like with your drawing techniques or anything. And I hope you like the end result. I think it came out amazing. One of my favorites, of course. And thank you for watching. Stay creative. Bye.